Good morning and welcome again to another Making Mondays Matter. I hope everyone had a great weekend and we are looking forward to a productive week. The topic I want for us to look at this morning is the subject of balance. It is something that's come up with a couple of my clients in recent weeks. And what I have found out as I have reflected upon the subject of balance and more specifically balancing one's life is that balance itself is elusive, meaning that there will always be things that seek to push you out of balance, off balance. And so it is dynamic. It is something that you constantly need to be working at. And within this highly technological age where there's always emails and social media, the phone is ringing, people having demands or requirements of your time, how do you actually find that balance? I mean, when we think of the word balance, you're normally looking at things that are in correct proportions. So how can we get or different aspects of our lives into the correct proportions? I dare say we need to continually work at it. It may seem obvious, but so often we can become overoccupied with one or two aspects of life, which drives our entire being out of balance. And before you know it, there are the negative repercussions of it. Take, for example, those of you who may have to work long hours trying to get things done. Now, it may not be possible to get away from the long hours based on what it is that has to be done. But if you don't manage how you deal with those long hours, it can impact things such as your health. For example, working long hours can often lead to bad eating. Bad eating, unhealthy diet can lead to things such as overweight, indigestion, these types of things, which then can trigger other things. So you can see where balance is so important, even in areas of life where you may not have total control. You need to control those aspects that you are in charge of so that you can get those proportions as close as possible where they need to be for you to have that balance. I know this is easier said than done. And even as I contemplated this topic this morning, things came to me like the single parent who has 2 or 3 children working a full-time job. Many times you would hear persons in that situation say, "My time is not my own." But if we don't take charge of what is our own, and that is ourselves, then you become of no use sooner or later to no one else. Because at the end of the day, and you might have heard me say this in other videos, you can't give what you haven't got. And so it is important for us to find that balance, find that harmony within our lives, even within the hecticness, if that's a word, of our modern day lives. Find that space where you can find the time to do the things that will help you to be as productive as you can be. So if you have been neglecting things such as your exercise, find a way of getting that 15-minute walk in, that half an hour walking. Do something to at least reclaim some aspect of it. If you're having challenges eating right, find some way of probably preparing a small meal for yourself, or taking time out to actually have that meal, because sometimes it's not even about having the meal, because sometimes you don't even have the time based on what it is that you're doing. So you need to make these things a priority. And a few weeks ago, we touched on the subject of priorities. So let's find that way of doing the things that are required for a healthy, productive life. In other words, let's find that balance. And as I said in the opening remarks, it is dynamic. Things will change. People will and situations will push you off center. But you need to reclaim that center. You need to do the things that would bring you back to that place that will help you to be as productive as you can be. If you don't, sooner or later, it will come back to haunt you, and it will also impact those around you, those things that you care about most. What's the use of working really, really hard, getting a big bank account, and then falling ill, or worse still, dying and leaving it? You have not benefited from it. So it's important that we find that balance. I know that I haven't given you a specific answer, which is what some persons may be looking for, but balance, as I said, is dynamic, and we all need to find our own place of balance by doing the things that re-energize us, that refresh us, that allows us to get the rest, in some cases, the exercise, to get the right proportions of things that we need done, so that our lives can be as productive as they can be. So until next Monday, as we go forward into this week, let's seek to achieve that balance. Let's get those right proportions in place, and let's be as productive as we can be. This is David Inks for Living Successfully, Inc.